Welcome to The Explainer. We're diving into a pretty serious warning from a true pioneer in the AI field, Shane Legg from Google DeepMind. He thinks we are right on the edge of a change so huge that almost none of us are ready for it.
All right, let's really get into this. To explain where we're at with artificial general intelligence, or AGI, Legg uses this powerful analogy. He says it feels like March 2020. You know, the experts are all shouting about this exponential curve that's about to change the world, but most of us are just going about our day, finding it really hard to believe that something so massive is right around the corner.
So, what exactly is this virus that he's warning us about? To really feel the weight of what he's saying, we've got to look past all the sci-fi stuff and get a handle on what AGI actually is. So Legg gives us this really practical, hype-free definition. He calls the first big milestone minimal AGI. Now, this isn't about some all-powerful, godlike machine. It's much simpler. An AI that can just reliably do the everyday thinking tasks that you'd expect from a person, without the weird, surprising fails we still see from AI today.
And what's really key here is that Legg doesn't see AGI as some on or off switch. It's a whole spectrum. Minimal AGI is really just the starting line. Once we cross that, the goal becomes full AGI. That's an AI that can match the entire range of human thinking, from doing average tasks to, coming up with entirely new theories in physics.
And this slide really highlights why we're not there yet. Today's AI is, well, it's uneven. It might be able to speak 150 languages, which is completely superhuman, but then it can stumble on things that are fundamental for us. It has trouble learning new things on the fly without a full retraining, or even just understanding the basic perspective in a picture.
Okay, so with a technology this powerful on the horizon, the absolute biggest question is safety. If AGI is the pandemic, then we desperately need a vaccine. So how do we start building one to make sure this thing is beneficial and not, harmful?
This is where it gets really interesting. Legg talks about this idea of System 2 safety, and it's inspired by the psychologist Daniel Kahneman. So instead of having a fast gut reaction, what Kahneman calls System 1 thinking, the AI is trained to use slow, deliberate, step-by-step reasoning. You basically force it to pause, think through all the complexities and consequences of a moral choice before it ever makes a move.
But that brings up this massive question, right? We can teach an AI to perfectly reason its way through any ethical problem, to follow a moral rulebook better than any human ever could. But is that really the same thing as teaching it to genuinely care about the outcome for us? That's a debate that is far, far from over.
So, while the researchers are tackling that huge question of care, the technology just keeps marching forward. And just like a pandemic, its arrival is going to have these widespread societal symptoms, starting with the one that hits closest to home for all of us, our jobs.
To get a sense of which jobs might get hit first, Legg has this super simple rule of thumb. He calls it the laptop rule. Basically, if you can do your entire job remotely with just a laptop and an internet connection, well, then your job is pretty much pure cognitive work.
And that means those jobs, the ones that are purely about thinking and can be done from anywhere, like coding, financial analysis, even writing, they're in the high-risk zone. Meanwhile, physical, embodied jobs, things like plumbing or construction, they're protected for a lot longer because that requires advanced robotics, not just pure intelligence.
The big takeaway here is that this isn't just a small shift. This is a massive, fundamental transformation of our economy. Legg is basically saying that every single field, from law and education to finance, needs to start preparing right now for a world where machine intelligence is cheap and abundant. If we do, we could have a golden age. If we don't, we could see much greater inequality.
So finally, let's look at the long game. Where does this exponential curve actually lead? Well, according to Legg, it doesn't just stop at matching human intelligence. Nope, it goes way, way beyond it.
And his argument for this, well, it really just boils down to pure physics. When you actually compare the biological limits of our brains to the raw power and speed of a data center, the difference is just stark. Our brains are incredibly efficient, running on only about 20 watts, but our internal signals are slow. Data centers, on the other hand, use megawatts of power and send information at the speed of light. So here's the bottom line from all that. Human intelligence is not the ceiling. It's a milestone we're about to pass, but it is not the final destination. Because of these huge physical advantages, Legg sees artificial superintelligence as just an engineering inevitability. Our own intelligence will eventually be dwarfed. And that leaves us, all of us, with the ultimate question. If a technology is coming that's going to totally transform our economy and eventually dwarf our own intelligence, how on earth do we prepare for it?
This isn't just a question for the tech people anymore. This is about philosophy, it's about economics, it's about ethics, and it's a conversation we all need to start having